Welcome to the tutorial on mastering the dimensions and the 3-point callout tools in CorelDRAW. The dimension tools are used to measure the various dimensions of an object. And the 3-point callout tool enables you to draw a callout with a 2-segment leader line. In your toolbox bar, this is the icon for the dimension and 3-point callout tools. The dimension tools that are part of this group are parallel dimension, horizontal or vertical dimension, angular dimension, and segment dimension. The 5th tool in this group is the 3-point callout tool. The parallel dimension tool is to draw dimension lines, measuring the actual distance between nodes. It enables you to draw dimension lines that are slanted. In the toolbox bar, click on this icon for the parallel dimension tool to select it. Up in the Properties bar, you will see all the fields related to the dimension tools that you can use to modify the settings for these dimension tools. But before we dive into these in detail, let us first measure the distance between two nodes and draw a line showing the measurements. I want to measure the length of the slanted portion of the bow of this boat. Having selected the parallel dimension tool, I will left-click and hold on the bottom end of the bow and drag the mouse diagonally towards the top of the bow. When I reach that point, I will release the mouse button and move the mouse downwards. After creating some space, I will left-click once to complete the measurement and the drawing. This gives me the angled length of the bow in inches, as that is what my measurement settings dictate. To start, the first change that I am going to do to the properties is to change the font size. Left-click once on a blank point on the canvas and then left-click once on the text showing the measurement reading to select it. Click to open the Object Properties docker and from here, under the Character menu, change the font size to 16 points. I will also change the font color to a darker green. Then I will click on a point on the dimension outline to select it. I will then click on the outline icon in the Object Properties docker to select it. From here, I will scroll down and change the outline width to 0.75 mm. I will also change the outline color to match the font color. I also have the option of changing the line style from the Line Style drop-down menu. I'll press Ctrl-Z, Command-Z on the Mac to undo this last action. I can also change the arrowhead style by selecting one from the arrowhead fields. I'll press Ctrl-Z, Command-Z on the Mac to undo this last action as well. From the Properties bar, I can choose between 4 different dimension styles. I can choose to list the measurements in decimal, fraction, US engineering, or US architectural. The default setting is decimal. The field to its right allows us to control the measurement precision. The default setting is 2 decimal points. I can open the drop-down menu and select how precise I want to be. Then, the next field to the right allows us to choose the dimension units. Open the drop-down menu to see all the available options. Default setting is inches, listed with the double quotation sign. You can change that to read as IN for inches or as inches. Similarly, you can switch to millimeters as mm or as millimeters. there is a rather large list of options available to you. Next, to the right, you have the option to choose if you wish to display the units or not. The default setting is to display. But if you click on this icon for Display Unit to disable it, you will see that the unit of measurement is not displayed in the measurement. I will enable it again. The next field allows you to choose if you wish to display the measurement with leading zeros as 0.xx or simply as .xx. The default setting is Show Leading Zeros. To demonstrate this better, let's change the dimension units to ft for feet. As you can see, the measurement now reads 0.xx, ft. Now click on the Show Leading Zeros icon to disable it, and the measurement now reads .xx, ft. I will enable it again. The next two fields allow us to set a prefix and a suffix to the measurement display. For example, I am going to place my cursor in the prefix field and type the word bow and press the space bar once, then press the tab key to move to the suffix field. Here, I'll start with pressing the space bar once, and then I will type approx. And press the tab key. You will see these two words in the dimension display as prefix and suffix of the text. Next, I can choose to have the dimension set as dynamic or not. The default setting is Dynamic Dimensioning enabled. I'll select the boat and then grab one of the black squares from the bounding box and pull it to alter the size of the boat. Release the mouse button. You will see that the dimension reading of the bow has now changed to reflect the changes we just made. I'll press Ctrl Z, Command Z on the Mac to undo this last action. I will disable Dynamic Dimensioning and repeat the same action. Note that the measurement did not change to reflect the alteration we did to the boat's size. I'll press Ctrl Z, Command Z on the Mac to undo this last action. Next, we have a few options to choose the position of the text. The default setting is Text Through Dimension Line. From the Properties bar, click on this icon for Text Position to open the drop-down menu. From here, you can choose Text Above Dimension Line or Text Below Dimension Line. You can force text horizontal to display the text horizontal. I'll press Ctrl Z, Command Z on the Mac to undo this last action. Then, I will change the text position back to Text Through Dimension Line. From the Text Position drop-down menu, click on Center Text Between Extension Lines to disable that feature. By default, it is set to Enable. Having disabled this feature, with the Pick tool selected, left-click once on a blank point on the canvas and then left-click once on the text to select it. Hover the mouse over the text, and when the cursor changes into a cross, left-click and hold, and move the text to the right or to the left, and position it where you wish along the line. If you wish to recenter the text, then click on the extension line to select it. Then click on the text position icon up in the Properties bar to open the drop-down menu and click on Center Text Between Extension Lines to enable it. You will see the text is now repositioned, centered between the extension lines. From the drop-down menu for Text Position, you can click on this option for Draw Box Around Text to do exactly that. The next icon provides you with some options for the extension line. Click on this icon to open the drop-down menu. The first choice enables you to adjust the distance of the extension lines from the object. Click and place a check mark against distance from object. You can now adjust the distance by clicking the up or down black triangles or place your cursor in the field and type in a value. For the purpose of this demo, I will enter 0.25 inches as my choice and press the Tab key. You will notice the extension line move away from the initial position by 0.25 inches. The second choice available under this menu is to change the extension overhang size. Click to place a check mark in the box against extension overhang and place the cursor in that field and change the value to 0.75 inches. You will notice that the overhang has increased to reflect the change. Double-click on the Parallel Dimension tool icon from the Properties bar to open the Options panel. Note that the Dimension tool choice is already highlighted. From the right side of this panel, you can set the default values for the unit style, the precision level, and the units. You can also set default values for the prefix and the suffix fields. Press OK to accept the changes. All the properties and features that we just talked about apply to all the other dimension tools as well. The one and only difference will be to the dimension units when it comes to angular dimension. The rest of the properties are common to all the dimension tools. Vertical or horizontal dimension tool is to draw dimension lines measuring the vertical, y-axis, or horizontal, x-axis, distance between two nodes. It enables you to draw horizontal or vertical dimension lines. Left-click on the black triangle on the bottom right corner of the icon for the Parallel Dimension tool in the toolbox bar to open the sub-menu. From the sub-menu, click on Horizontal or Vertical Dimension to select it. Let us first measure the vertical dimension of this boat. For that, I will left-click and hold at a point on the bottom of the boat and drag the mouse to the top left corner of the canopy. At that point, I will release the mouse button and drag the mouse over to the left and then left-click once to complete the measurement and display the vertical dimension of this boat. Similarly, with the horizontal or vertical dimension tool selected, I will left-click and hold at a point on the bow of the boat and drag the mouse to the left. And when I reach the stern of the boat, I will release the mouse button and drag the mouse upwards. And then left-click once to complete the measurement and display the horizontal dimension of this boat. Angular Dimension tool is to draw dimension lines, measuring angles. It lets you draw angular dimension lines. Let us measure the angle of the bow from the base to the top of the bow. For that, I will open the sub-menu in the Dimension Tools group and click to select the Angular Dimension tool. Then I will left-click and hold at a point on the bottom of the bow of the boat and drag the mouse to the right. Then, I will release the mouse button and drag the mouse upwards to meet up with the front end of the bow. Double left-click to complete the measurement and display of the angular dimension of the bow. Like I mentioned earlier, all the properties change options are common with the other dimension tools, except for the dimension unit. Degrees is the default setting for the Angular Dimension tool. But you can click on the black triangle to open the drop-down menu and choose to display the dimension with the word degrees. Or have the angular dimensions in radians or gradians. Radian is widely used in physics when angular measurements are required. For example, angular velocity is typically measured in radians per second. 1 radian equals 57.296 degrees. Gradians are a decimal version of degrees, as gradians work in decimal fractions. Gradians are mainly used by land surveyors, especially in Europe. 1 gradient equals 0.9 degrees. Next, we will have a look at the segment dimension tool. Segment dimension tool is to draw dimension lines measuring the linear distance between the end nodes of a segment, or the linear distance between the two most distant nodes in multiple segments. Segment dimension lines can also measure selected successive segments. It lets you display the distance between end nodes in single or multiple segments. From the sub-menu of the dimension group, click on this icon for segment dimension to select it. You will note that all the properties options for the segment dimension tool are identical to the other dimension tools, with the exception of one. The segment dimension tool has the option to enable or disable automatic successive dimensioning. Up in the properties bar, this icon is for automatic successive dimensioning. As a default setting, this option is in the enable state. We will first start with this option disabled. Click on the icon for automatic successive dimensioning to disable it. Then, with the segment dimension tool active, left-click and release the mouse button at any point on the outline of the ellipse and drag the mouse in a vertical direction. Then left-click once to complete the horizontal dimension and display for the ellipse. Then, left-click and release the mouse button at any point on the outline of the ellipse and drag the mouse in a horizontal direction. Then left-click once to complete the vertical dimension and display for the ellipse. Now, I will click to select the extension lines, both horizontal and vertical. And from the Object Properties docker, under Outline, I will change the outline color to match that of the ellipse. This will help in differentiating from the other displays. I will left-click once on a vertical side of the rectangle and drag the mouse in a horizontal direction away from the rectangle. Then, left-click once to complete the vertical dimension and display for the rectangle. Similarly, I will left-click once on a horizontal side of the rectangle and drag the mouse in a vertical direction away from the rectangle. Then, left-click once to complete the horizontal dimension and display for the rectangle. So, now we have the horizontal and vertical dimensions for each object individually. To determine the vertical dimension of both objects combined, I will marquee the two objects, pulling the mouse horizontally. When I have both objects marquee wrapped, I will release the mouse button and left-click once to determine and display the vertical dimension for both objects combined. To determine the horizontal dimension of both objects combined, I will marquee the two objects, dragging the mouse vertically. When I have both objects marquee wrapped, I will release the mouse button and left-click once to determine and display the horizontal dimension for both objects combined. Once again, I will select both the horizontal and the vertical extension lines and, from the Object Properties docker, under Outline, I will change the outline color. And I will also change the outline width to 0.75 mm. This will help in differentiating from the other dimension displays. Now, with the segment dimension tool active, I will click on this icon for automatic successive dimensioning up in the properties bar to enable it. Then, left-click and hold outside one of the vertical sides of this object and marquee the object. Release the mouse button and move the mouse up. Then, left-click once to determine and display the horizontal dimensions. This one single action provides us the horizontal dimensions for each segment of this object, as well as the total horizontal dimension of the object. Here, I have a floor plan drawn at a 1:1 scale, and the ruler of this document set to inches. If I click on Room 1, the measurements for this room show 3 inches by 2 inches. Room 2 measures 3 inches by 4.5 inches. Similarly, room 3 measures 7 inches by 2 inches. Let us look at using the dimension tools when drawing an object to a specific scale. Press Ctrl-J, Command-J on the Mac to open the Options panel. Click on the triangle next to Document to open the drop-down menu. Scroll down and click on Rulers. From the Units section, make sure that there is a check mark next to Same Units for horizontal and vertical rulers, and then click on the button to open the horizontal ruler drop-down menu. Scroll down and click on Feet. The vertical ruler automatically changes to feet. Click on this button for Edit Scale to open a pop-up panel. Here, the typical scales ratio shows as 1:1. Click on the black triangle to open the drop-down menu. Scroll all the way down to the bottom of the list and click on Custom. In the Page Distance field, leave the value as 1, but change the unit to inch. In the World Distance field, change the value to 2. The unit for world distance should be showing feet. Press the Tab key. Click OK. Once more, click OK to close the Options panel. Under the Dimension group, click to select Horizontal and Vertical Dimension tool. Left-click and hold on the bottom horizontal line of Room 1 and drag the mouse upwards. Hover the mouse over the top horizontal line of Room 1 and release the mouse button. Left-click once to complete and display the vertical dimension value for Room 1. Repeat the same steps for Room 2 as well as Room 3 to complete and display the vertical dimension values for both these rooms. As you can see, the vertical dimension for Room 1 in feet is displayed as 4 feet, which is as per the custom scale we had set of 1 inch being equal to 2 feet. Same holds true for rooms 2 and 3. To get the vertical dimension for room 1 and 2 combined, left-click and hold at the bottom left corner of room 1 and drag the mouse up to hover over the top left corner of room 2. Release the mouse button and move the mouse to the left. Left-click once to complete and display the vertical dimensions of rooms 1 and 2 combined. Click on the Dimension Groups icon to open the sub-menu and click on Segment Dimension to select it. From the Properties bar, make sure that the automatic successive dimensioning is enabled. Then, left-click and hold along one of the vertical sides at either end of this diagram and drag the mouse to Marquee and wrap the entire top horizontal sides of room 2 and room 3. Release the mouse button and move the mouse upwards. Left-click once to complete and display the horizontal dimension of each room as individual segments, as well as the combined horizontal dimension for both rooms. You will note that the dimensions hold true to the custom scale we set in the Options panel. As mentioned earlier, the 3-point callout tool enables you to draw a callout with a 2-segment leader line. From the sub-menu under the Dimension group, click on 3-point callout to select it. I want to call out the bow and the stern of this boat. Left-click and hold at the tip of the bow of the boat and drag the mouse up and then release the mouse button. Move the mouse in a horizontal direction. When I get to the point where I wish to place the label, I'll left-click once. Type the label, which in my case is bow. Switch to the Pick tool. Then I will, once again, click on the icon for the 3-point callout from the toolbox bar to select it. Left-click and hold at a point at the back end of the boat and drag the mouse upwards. Release the mouse button and then move the mouse in a horizontal direction. When I get to the point where I wish to place the label, left-click once. Type the label, which in my case is stern. Switch to the Pick tool. Just like the dimension lines, the call outlines can be altered by changing the outline width. Left-click once on a call outline to select it. First, I will change the outline width to 20 mm. I can change the outline color. I can also change the outline style. I'll press Ctrl-Z, Command-Z on the Mac to undo the last action. I can select a different arrowhead. Apart from changing the outline properties, you can also change the properties of the text. I'll click on the label to select it. Now, I can change the color of the text. I can select a different font style, as well as the font size. Basically, any formatting that can be done on any other text can be done to the label text on a callout. You also have the option of how you wish to have your label show in the callout. Click on the outline of the callout to select it. Then, from the Properties bar, click on the black triangle to open the drop-down menu from the Callout Shape field. Here you will find a variety of shapes to choose from for the callout label. I will try a couple of them to demonstrate this feature. The field to its right is to adjust the gap between the callout and the label. Increase the number in this field to increase the gap between the label and the callout. And decrease the number to reduce the gap between the label and the callout. That brings us to the end of this tutorial on mastering the dimensions and the 3-point callout tools in CorelDRAW. Please take your time exploring this tool and get familiar with all its features and capabilities. Next, we will start by learning about working with objects. To learn about working with objects, please access the Mastering Working with Objects in CorelDRAW tutorial. Or, click on the link provided below in the description of this video. To access the previously published tutorials, please click on the links provided below for those tutorials in the description of this video.